Okay, g'day, I'm Garrick. I work for Department of Conservation, but it's not about me. This is about this session, this technology session. First up is Debbie Fogell. She's going to talk about data integration and visualization in pest animal control. And I should say that she is posing as a team leader in data at Greater Wellington Regional Council. Okay.
Kia ora koutou. So I'm currently team leader data at Greater Wellington Regional Council, but my usual home is as a senior operations advisor, sitting across our environment operations team. I am a conservation biologist with biosecurity kind of at my in my heart, but I do love a good set of data, and I like making the most of our data sets and ensuring that we can display those, integrate them, and really kind of help share them and improve our operations through kind of iterative management. The challenge that we've had, which I'm sure will be very recognizable to the rest of you, is lots of gnarly spreadsheets in our biosecurity space. I've been working very closely with the pest animal team, looking at particularly things like their shooting data, but there was lots of manual manipulation. Every time you kicked over a rock, 3 more spreadsheets would pop out. Everybody had their own kind of records. We had contractor records separated from internal ones. We had quite a lot of errors that were cropping up because there was lots of handling. And we had people kind of overwriting one another's data as well. So it was getting a bit messy. There's also mixed capability across the team. Some people love a spreadsheet and some people just wanted to be out in the bush, and quite frankly, entering stuff into spreadsheets was kind of pretty low on the list of like things they needed to do on a rainy day. And we had lots of different formatting types, so we were kind of having numbers and letters put in the same cells, which made extracting data from it quite hard work. We've also got the challenge of a mix of systems. We've got data going into GIS, TrapNZ with slightly different schema. We've got GIS dashboards, Excel graphs, pivot tables, random Word documents, GPX files. Everybody's kind of trying to do their own thing. And we had no integration with our finance system either, which means that resource tracking is also really hard work. All of this adds up to really challenging planning, really challenging reporting. So over the last year and a half, spent quite a lot of time with the team working through everything they had and started setting up a bit of a prioritization of kind of what's first. How can we start approaching this in a way that's going to make this kind of iterative management really easy? Our first priority was getting all of our shooting control data into a single place. We've really harnessed the Esri suite in this and kind of lent on development of quick capture. And that was developing a tool for kind of our aerial and on-foot operations. We've got eastern kind of Hutt Valley through to Kapiti Coast and down to Wellington City, as well as our western operations, which is kind of all the way through the Wairarapa. Bringing our internal and contractor effort kind of into a single place by everybody using the same tool for data input. And this is now feeding into the development of the National Wild Animal Data Standards with Bay of Plenty, DOC, LINS, amongst other collaborators. So it's been really awesome to kind of reflect on that as a national standard and how we can start progressing towards that. On the left over there, you'll see that we've got the aerial shooting app. So bright color, pretty simple kind of buttons for hitting while you're strapped into a helicopter and hanging out of it. And our kind of in the field on foot, there is. So this is where we've got kind of the species that are encountered the most regularly first, goats, and we go down through pigs, lagomorphs, things like poo geckos and possums as well. And this is the map that kind of they have as their base layer with our operational boundaries, and those dots will represent animals that have been shot in the last, I think we're now on 48 hours, so that we don't have lots and lots of dots cluttering up the map, and it makes it really hard for people to work out where they've been. But we've also got this tracking, which means that GPS tracking in real time means that hopefully we're going to be able to determine in a future state our cost per unit effort. Are we going into an area for an hour and shooting 20 rabbits? We're going into an area for an hour and shooting 150. It makes quite a big difference in terms of turning up and turning down our control and working out where we should be operating in higher intensity. As a secondary benefit to this, it also helped us reflect on our operational boundary base layer and helped us tidy that up a little bit too. Our second priority was making planning and reporting easier with the Power BI. And so Power BI was mentioned earlier today. I was really thrilled to hear it. And what we've been doing is kind of setting up interactive dashboards for our operational teams, as well as those outside. So we've got environmental restoration advisors, our operational staff, people within our knowledge and insights function, who all kind of look to this and look at where we're spending money, where we're seeing bang for buck, looking at financial years, kind of how many animals are being controlled. And we've got this not only in our shooting space, but also for our trapping effort, our bait stations, etc., looking at bait take over time and looking at any trends in there. We've got this assist in identifying operational hotspots, looking at kind of where we're getting consistent trap catch, or where potentially, once again, we might be able to turn down effort. And we're currently working on TA-specific data views for sharing, so Wellington City Council, Kapiti District Council, etc., so we can make our data more accessible and help this kind of self-service model of being able to answer easy questions, and then we get to kind of really tackle the more complex stuff in in-person meetings if people are able to kind of access this themselves. Aiding financial tracking was a biggie. So Predator-Free Wellington is obviously really strongly connected to Greater Wellington Regional Council, and I've been supporting their team in kind of looking at the areas that they've got in priority and looking at the total hours they're spending in each of these operational zones, being able to kind of track cost against those, and therefore looking at the cost per hectare, and by default extrapolating the difficulty of each of those zones based on how many man hours it's taken to service those areas. It's also helped us look at kind of individual levels, kind of where people are spending their time in terms of administration, training, and helping us really plan according to, if you've got lots of people that are out on training, how can we adjust our operational kind of hotspotting, etc., to accommodate the fact that people will be out sick, people will be out on leave, people will be training, and just ensuring that we're still kind of operating to our best and most efficient way. Our fourth priority was tracking external inquiries. So we've connected this to our ozone database and looking at public inquiries by pest management category as well as the total sales. So this is for our pest plants and pest animals inquiries, and looking at the number of those over time, whether we've got anything outstanding, but also this is helping us identify kind of what pest species the public is complaining about the most, and therefore helping us identify potentially where we need to target our efforts as an organisation. The fifth one is actually just creating opportunities to commend high performance. So Predator-Free Wellington has done this great kind of tab on their dashboard that isn't just talking to budget and operational stuff, but actually just kind of saying, who got the most rats this week? Awesome stuff. Who serviced the most traps? Who's done the most bait stations? This is great. And it's created that a little bit of competition within the team, but healthy commendation of people for really good effort in the field and just really supporting that. But I also wanted to highlight that all of this, and I would probably be told off by my current manager if I wasn't talking about our overall data strategy as an organisation. This aligns strongly to our organisational strategic direction, so doing this wonderful pest control work and being able to kind of broadcast that visually is wonderful, but actually the systematic data collection and collation side of things means that we're going to end up with fewer quality issues and handling errors. It means it's going to be easy to find when we need it because we can have the right metadata tags, and we've had this big overall organisational push to actually make our data more searchable, more accessible and more connected. While structured data is much better to report on and much easier to create really systematic insights from it. Using systems that are interoperable means that you can actually get the data in different ways after it's collected. So dumping all of our data into a data lake means that we can get finance data and connect it to operational data and connect it to community outcomes-based information. And it also makes data security and governance easier. So it's all stored in the correct location. It's known as, whether it's authoritative, something that we need to access to inform future management, and it's got clear accountability. We know who owns it and who's accessed it. It's also supporting collaborative decision-making with mana whenua. Our intended future state is going to be a place where we can more easily associate data with the rohe that it was collected in, We're starting our journey around Māori data sovereignty and really kind of speaking to our mana whenua partners about how they view the data that we are kaitiaki of and how it's connected to them, their whenua, and how we can kind of better support access to that. We can also kind of get more specifics around how many devices we've got, in what area, serviced by whom, on what frequency. Be clear about exactly how much resource it takes to deliver our operations, people time and consumables. But it's also going to allow us to overlay different operational work streams over the top of each other so that we can do some good gap analysis. Where are we operating? Where are contractors operating? Mana whenua-led operations, community group-led operations, 1080 drops. So we can identify not only where we're operating, but where the gaps are so that we can start to look at if we're trying to create cost efficiency across organisations, that we're going to really identify where we need to go next. And just to tautoko some other great mahi that's going on in Greater Wellington that isn't led by me. Our Pest plant team is also doing some awesome stuff. Gio, one of my colleagues, has a real love of GIS, and he's been trying to tackle the pest plant monitoring across our key native ecosystems as well. Their biggest issue was limited data sharing capability and a big risk of data loss because they were working with handheld GPS units, topo GIS, lots of manual manipulation. People were handing each other files all over the place and trying to consolidate it. I see some nods. I think other people feel this pain. And they also had a lot of issues with not having kind of offline mapped areas. So they wanted to be able to go in as a team, do surveys, see where everybody else was going, and be able to really assess that their survey was thorough and their lines were more or less parallel as they could be. So he's gone with a combined GIS field maps and quick capture approach with those customizable offline areas. And yeah, tracking the internal and external coverage for survey and control. If anybody wants to chat more about this, I can answer a few questions, but otherwise I'm more than happy to direct you to Gio for further chats. Yeah, kia ora. Does anybody have any questions?
Are you, when you get the data coming in, is anyone that's looking at it before it goes into the system, or is it just going straight from the field into the SQL database?
So we've got, data coming into GIS. There is a QC, QA process that happens, and it is loaded into the data lake as raw, and then we're processing it, but that QC, QA is constantly going on. The teams that are doing it are checking, especially things that come in from contractors, and we're just ensuring that if there's a random data point that shouldn't be there, that it's kind of aligned. We've had a few like random points that have come up. People are going, I don't think that was there, you know. So yeah, we're doing regular checks, probably I would say like almost every week. The team are reviewing their own data at all the sites that they manage to ensure that it's looking clean and kind of as they'd expect. And I get told very quickly if things are missing.
I'm doing a similar thing myself with plant stuff, which
fabulous.
Seems to have been lots of people contributing, exactly as you said, have their own spreadsheets, done things their own ways for 5, 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Did you encounter much pushback when you're sort of saying, right, I'm going to do things this way now?
My approach is always collaborative. So I'm always really careful not to insult that, people have been working really hard on something that's absolutely beautiful. The quality of the data that's there is amazing. And it's going in and just saying, God, this is really hard work. If we do this, we could make this easier. We could align the schema. We could get you all reporting, into this kind of systematized way. And I think as long as you bring them along the journey with you, I've received very little pushback. I think genuinely people were just like, oh God, someone's here to help. Thank you. Which has almost uniformly been the response. But it's very much a sit down, let's pull it apart and work out what you as subject matter experts need from the data so we can make the best of it.
Where did you get those cool photos?
There's this really cool project called Wowkers Up, and there's a mate with some pictures from his cameras.
That wasn't actually my question. How would you describe the change in your ability to explain operational stuff to decision makers and politicians with the new system compared with how things used to be?
I definitely, you can see the value where people aren't scrabbling for information when we get a request come through. It's there, and because the teams are using it constantly, it means that we're making regular improvements to it. So, for example, Glenn, who's the team leader, the team leader for the Pest Animal team, had a query come in from the TAs regarding species catch specifically, and so we immediately changed the dashboard so we could break it down by that, and so in order, being able to kind of convey what we're doing and the impact of that has become much easier because things are more accessible and everybody loves a picture. It's so much easier than trying to wrangle numbers into a table and send that along to someone and expect them to understand it. So I think a picture and a graph, well, I'm in love with graphs anyway, but, with a bit of context can often convey a message much more easily, and strategically, we found that, explaining rationale for funding has been easier, and demonstrating where we're lacking resource because things are taking longer than expected or where we've got higher densities than anticipated. It's been an easier conversation because you have that really supportive evidence in front of you.
Further to that question, have you seen or have the operational staff commented to you that the way they're having to operate in the field has changed because of the data that you're collecting in terms of are you changing their trajectory or changing their priorities?
It has. It's not. It hasn't. We haven't had kind of niggles with changing priorities. We've had niggles with the adoption of new technology, and because people are used to the reliability of a handheld GPS unit, and the Esri suite is wonderful, but changing the process that people are using to collect their data and making sure that people are trained and comfortable has been a challenge. Particularly with contractors, where we don't have that internal support, you kind of send them a user manual and say, go ahead, could you do this? And so we've had issues with data collection in that way. What it has helped though is for things like, for example, where we've got exorbitant numbers of hedgehogs clogging up traps, it's helped us pinpoint that and be like, oh, we should just put those on, a ledge. And then suddenly the hedgehogs go away and we start catching all the other stuff. So it has helped us identify things like that where we could actually be more efficient because we've just seen what's being caught in what areas, to what volume, to what degree.
Has the ability to make some of these sort of dashboards and tools, has that been extended down to field staff level for those people who are really in it, or is that still sitting in that geodesk team space?
No, not at all. So so Geo, our pest, he is a field operator in pest plants, and he bloody loves GIS and loves data, and actually has run with that. And he's we're dotting super users into the teams. As said, I'm usually a senior operations advisor wearing the hat of team leader data at the Mo, and my key is to make things really accessible, and anybody who wants to learn, I'm there in a supportive way to say, this is amazing, let's use consistent process around it so that we get some clear templates or formats, but that if somebody's keen to go, whether you're a field operator or whether you're in an advisory space, please, you do you, yeah. The more nerds, the better.
I was interested in your bit of free stuff with time coding.
Yeah, the time tracking.
So is that done in real time, or is that sort of done retrospectively at the end of the day by operators?
So we get 2 weekly dumps from our finance system on the pay schedule essentially. It's called our work order transaction report, where we can see who's charged what to what codes, and so it's not necessarily, that isn't done kind of on a daily basis. Our trapping data can be refreshed daily, but it runs on pay cycle. So every 2 weeks they get an additional kind of run of how much money's been spent in which zone according to the code that it's been.
So do the field officers have to sort of keep a track of their time pretty diligently during the day so they can enter their time codes, time sheets at the end of the week or something?
Yeah, or Alistair might be, I see Alistair at the back there, you might be able to talk better to this, but they operate in certain zones at a time, so it's not that the whole team's just kind of running out. They've got certain target zones that are in different phases, so biosecurity, hotspotting, or knockdown, is that right? Yeah.
Different teams.
Yeah, so everybody's kind of working within a boundary and therefore a code that's kind of specific to them for their mahi for that particular period, which makes it a bit easier than having to track every 15 minutes kind of what zone you've been in.
Those dashboards there are obviously very good at tracking what has occurred. Is there much scope in there for forward projecting or future planning, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so
inferring stuff?
I loved seeing the weed prioritization tool earlier, and we're now working on a regional predator control prioritization tool that with hopefully a dashboard view of kind of where we should be targeting as a future state. Yeah.
All right.
Cheers, Debbie. Thank you, Debbie. Thanks, Debbie.